So today we're going to take a look at the first game that I've seen on Icebox on the new patch, and it was pretty crazy because of these team comps. But before we do, I just want to say thank you on the 1,000 subs, and that in celebration of doing so, I've set up a Twitter account where I will tweet out, my various takes, hot takes about Valorant and what's going on in the pro scene and whatnot. So go and follow that. The link is in the description if you want to. And with that said, let's dive into some of this match, because it's very interesting, because neither team is running a Sage or a Viper, which is absolutely crazy, absolutely incredible that we're seeing that, and absolutely unthinkable just a couple of weeks ago. But anyway, so DarkZero went for Astra, and Faze went for Omen, and well, I wanted to see, is it possible to play this map without a Sage or without a Viper? Are they, super necessary like they were before? And so let's start taking a look at some of the rounds and see if we can come to a conclusion. And we'll start off with round number 2. So here we go. We've got, obviously, DarkZero here have the guns, and Faze don't really have the guns, so we're obviously not expecting too much from Faze. If they could get the spike down, that would be a nice win, right? The problem is they have this Omen smoke here, right? And the problem is, as we run this forward, as you're about to see, and the defenders use some utility to delay them a bit, they're just not able to push up, even with this smoke here, right? And so the problem is also, another problem that they encounter is the smoke fades. And this is just like one of the small things, and we're going to see it happen multiple times, is that a Viper can tell you exactly when a smoke is going down. She knows when, that smoke is about to fall because she has no fuel left. Whereas with an Omen smoke or any other smoke, you don't know exactly, no one's keeping track of it mid-game that well. And so what happens here is, as this smoke fades, we get a Marshall kill from the side of Faze as the second smoke is being set up. A Faze player dies because, they were probably caught peeking. You can see that it's the Sova down here is caught peeking here, maybe expecting that a smoke would still be up. I don't know. But obviously with that smoke fading at like a seemingly random time, it's not great if you are trying to take the site and you're kind of in this position, which they are. Now, in the meantime that this is happening, obviously we can see this drone has cleared like all of this close area here. And there's also, started to see that there's no one really like pushing super aggressive here either. And so what that's going to allow for, as I think it tags up, yeah, it tags shot up and he obviously has to run away, is now they just disrespect this Omen smoke. Now there's no reason not to just push through it, because you know where these players are. After they've done this drone, you could see here that Screwface is just like, who cares, right? They know that no one is in like this close area here. They know that Shot Up has had to retreat back here. They probably, are aware that someone is close towards yellow as well. And so Screwface just feels confident. I know he's only against pistols, but this is a chamber back here. So, he could be in some danger. But he doesn't feel that danger at all. And he's just able to disrespect the smoke and almost use it as a kind of, you can see Screwface here, using it almost as a kind of shoot and cover and then come back out and shoot and cover. And it's like they're almost using, these Omen smokes were almost detrimental to the team, right? The one faded, they got a kill from the smoke fading, and then they're just able to disrespect the smoke and use it almost as a kind of shoot and cover thing for Screwface here as well. Whereas, and also another problem is, of course, these players aren't cut off at all. They have complete sight of what's going on. There is no smoke here, and this is the thing, again, with both Omen and Astra, is you only have 2 smokes. You kind of have to put one here, but you're also gonna have to put one somewhere in this area as well, if you want to have a successful site take. And so you can't really be slow and let this one fade, is kind of another issue that you might have with those agents. And you can see, again, just the disrespect, where if we had a Viper and we had a wall going across here, obviously the Viper wall covers both of these areas, and because it gives a decay, you're probably a lot less likely to disrespect it. Because why would you want to do that against a pistol round, right? Why would you want to play so risky against a pistol round? You don't want to throw like that. But you can see that Screwface didn't feel in any danger whatsoever in pushing this Omen smoke. And I just feel like, again, that was just like the first sign to me of like, maybe it's still Viper. But now let's quickly come to round 3, and I just want to show you something that Screwface does here on the defensive side, and something that I think you should take advantage of as well. So we get this drone here from Larry Banks, and you can see Screwface there gets aggressive up here and gets a free kill, and is also about to get away as well without even using the dash. It's just able to fall away, get a free kill, get out. And I think that position, that kind of elevated position that he's in here, because there isn't a thing anymore here on the attacker side, you might see less attackers going to this area. this is like one of the few areas on a site where the defenders now have an advantage. And so I do think that this as a whole, like in jumping up and getting aggressive, might be a pretty good position to take as a defender early on in a round. And I think you could be using it because he did it multiple times. And again, found another kill later on using an op instead, doing the exact same thing, jumping up here, getting a kill, just not even having to dash away, just jumping down. And I'm feeling pretty safe about it. And now let's come to round number 5. The first thing I just want to point out is this KO knife that comes in here. Just very good. I think, use that. The second thing is there is an Omen smoke in mid, and I just want you to take note of that as we run this round forward a bit. There is an Omen smoke that they started off with mid on, and obviously we're going to see that those 3 players towards B did get suppressed by the KO knife. But here we go, because what's going to happen here is you got Screwface in mid here with an op. And, well, I'm not sure that they're realizing, but Screwface gets a kill there, and if we look at the map, that smoke had just faded. And again, as I mentioned before, a Viper can tell you when that smoke will fade or not. You don't really know, the time in your head probably isn't fully there as an Omen, counting down the seconds to know whether that smoke is still up or not. And so Screwface is just able to take advantage of the fact that that smoke had faded, comes here, holds with an off, gets a free kill. And again, it's just one of those small little details that we might not necessarily think about too much. But if you're going to play like this, with this kind of slower pace on an Icebox and smoke mid, you're going to have to think about those timings quite a lot. Because as we saw there, they got punished for it pretty badly. And really it was a common theme in this game as we come to round 6 this time of both teams just disrespecting the opposing smokes. Whether it was attack or defense, both teams were a lot of the time, as we saw earlier on when the Jet was just pushing through that Omen smoke, both teams just did that a lot, where they were just like, you're not going to hold this smoke, you can't hold this smoke, it's Icebox. And so we're going to see here that DarkZero have this double Astra smoke set up, but they're droning through it, and as they drone through it, they're just going to render these smokes useless, because the drone comes, it gets the tag, it checks close left and sees that no one's there, and then guess what? They're already into the they're just in. These smokes have just been rendered useless because the Jet is already way ahead of it, and they've checked close left and all of that. And this is just another reason why these other smokers weren't played on this map, because it just doesn't work, because it just doesn't stop anyone. You're not stopping anyone. They're just going to come at you no matter what. Particularly on this A site, smokes don't matter because there's so many different angles to come from that they could pop out of any position of any smoke you want to put down there defensively. It just doesn't matter. And really the wall for like a retake is the only thing that can possibly stop someone. That's the only way it works, and that's why that became meta on this map. And as we see here, those 2 Astra smokes were essentially just completely wasted. And they do actually, I think, end up winning this round, but it was a 5v3 and it ends up in a 1v1. So, kind of goes to show, right, that like it just doesn't work. These other smokers, they just, particularly on A site, they just can't stop anything. And now let's come to round number 7. And what we're going to see here is, again, just disrespecting Omen smokes. Almost as if, like, the smoke is playing in the advantage of the other team, again, is what we're going to see. Because Omen is going to put down a smoke that is kind of essential. And it's this one here. Because you can't put it, like, towards screens. Normally we would see this Viper wall kind of, on the screen here, towards this screen. And that's the way it would go, right? But this Omen smoke has to be here and not kind of towards screens because it can't cover all of the area there. So you have to put it in this location. The problem with putting it in this location, as we can see, is exactly what Drone is about to do. He's just allowed to just walk up into it, like, for free. And just be there, like, way before you ever expect anyone to be. Because Dicey here is going to look, he's gonna take a look there, but he realizes, I can't see anything. There's nothing there for me to see. Why would I look there, right? Because I'm not holding anything. And look at where Drone is. Like, if this smoke isn't there, or if this is a toxic screen, he could probably get a kill if Drone tries to push it and he has something to hold. But with this smoke, there is nothing to hold there. And so what ends up happening is the Jet creates a bit of a distraction here for Drone as they're trying to get the spike down. Both the Faze players, react and get the kill. Here's Drone in the smoke. He's able to just get this free kill on Dicey and walk back into it. And shut up, can't, he looks and he's like, oh, he's in the smoke. I guess he got that one for free. It doesn't work. These other smoking agents, it doesn't work. And often when they were doing these A takes with Omen or with Astra, both teams were having to use this smoke, and then normally one up here as well, like on the rafter door. And it just means that, you can't hold people from just getting all the way up into this smoke, which is a lot of space to give up. Like, particularly at the pro level, you'll get punished for it, like we just saw there, if you give an opponent that much space for free. And that is what you kind of have to do, though, because there's no other way to smoke the site properly, you know, without just like having complete control, which you're not going to because it's Icebox. And Icebox is just the map where it's just very easy to get into places. That's just how the map has worked forever. Even with Viper, it's still pretty easy to get into these places and play Retake and whatnot. And so with Omen, it just doesn't work, and everyone was just disrespecting everyone's smokes because they were like, you can't hold this because I could be coming from 10 different other angles as well, so you can't hold this smoke as well, and so I can just walk through it. But one thing I was particularly interested in was how teams were going to try a full B execute take. And even though Faze are on a save here, we are going to see that, and we are going to see it be successful as well. And I thought it was very interesting. One thing that I think you might see less of is exactly what is happening here with DarkZero, where I think that you'll see less aggression towards this B side because this door is so close now. Because they can come out and be very close, what you'll see what I mean as we run this round forward, that I think it's just very risky, as we'll see what goes on here, because we're going to get this jet updraft and dash across here onto the side, and now you might think, why would you swing this, right? But to me, like, Zexro here has two options. He can either teleport away, or he has to fight now, because he doesn't know that those people aren't very close on his right-hand side and are about to swing him from there anyway. So he has to do something straight away. He tries to go for the fight. You know, maybe he probably should have just teleported away, but, you know, it was one of the two options that was okay. He couldn't just sit there, because he would have just died from the other side. And he dies anyway, and so now all of a sudden they're in a 5v4. And so I do think that getting aggressive towards B might be a bit harder because, you know, if like that happens where you get like a jet already like close on you on the other side, you know, you have to react so fast because, you know, they could be very close to you on the other lane of it as well. So here we go. We're going to get this fast take, and let's take a look at the map as we're going in. So we get, you know, the same Omen smoke here that is obviously pretty essential. But then as we run this forward and as they get into the map, I want you to watch, we're going to get an Omen smoke here as well, which I think is quite interesting. But then we're also going to get Omen flash through there, and now we'll take it onto the normal mode now that we've seen all of that, which I thought was pretty cool, to be honest. I did like that as a whole. And so, yeah, you can see they've put this Omen smoke here. What they're also going to do is get a KO nade in here as well, a little lineup. Baby just starts going crazy as this is all happening. But, you know, this is it's a pretty cool, like, kind of full site take, you know, rather than like the B site of old where we would see, you know, just the spike down and run away. You know, this was more of a full-on, you know, actual take the full site. Baby goes up and gets another one as well. And I thought that this was pretty cool, and they do end up winning this round on time. And yeah, this was a very nice round from Faze. And basically after this round, you could see it's 6-1 at this point. They started just doing this a lot and had a lot more success just basically running it down B. And I do think teams, particularly early on, you know, as it's all new, might find success with just, you know, stomping it down B side and seeing what's happened. And then finally, let's end with round number 18 and with Astra here, because what we're going to get, hey, guess what? It's almost as if a big wall might help you get the spike down, because this was probably one of the very few times that the opposing team respected a smoke and just allowed a retake, like went for a full retake instead, right? And because of this Astra wall, it's almost as if there's another agent in the game who might also have a wall that might also allow you to do this. But what I will say is that teams are going to have to adjust to Icebox, because what we're about to see will show you why that is. They are in a 4v5, you know, so they are at a bit of a disadvantage already, but, you know, this is still winnable from this situation, but they are going to get absolutely destroyed. And the thing is, retake on B, you cannot just group up by yellow anymore. It just does not work. You're just going to get destroyed in that area. And so we're about to see that. And I think that that is something that teams will need to react and think about how they are going to, you know, play more for the entirety of B site rather than just, you know, get the spike down and go. But I do still think, you know, this was one of the few times that, you know, a team was kind of respecting something, a smoke in this game or some kind of block of vision in this game. And it just so happened to be an Astral Wall. And I was just like, yeah, makes sense, right? Because you can cut off both both key points with this wall, right? And you could be holding anywhere in it. You know, you could be down here. Who knows, right? They don't actually know, whereas before it was a bit easy to tell. But you'll see what I mean with this kind of retake thing as we go forward, because we do have multiple people here who will group towards yellow, and this chamber is going to teleport back across. So we do get the drone going in, it gets destroyed, we get the dart coming in, the chamber's about to teleport across, but then we get like Omen Flash, KO Flash, and they're just going to get screwed here. You know, Dark Faze shot up here is just going to get 2, and then all of a sudden they're in a massive problem. They tried to get Crunchy here on the flank, but the problem with this flank is, if you're not going to play for sight, is obviously this box is here now, so it kind of is going to take even longer if you have the spike. You know, I mean, where the spike is actually planted is like down here, so he would have had to like get on site back to, you know, stop anyone from defusing the spike. So this is almost worse now, this kind of flanking wrapping around, because you're not going to be able to see the spike. And as you can see, they end up basically, you know, they were in a 5v4, they end up with 4 people alive, and the one that died was just randomly shooting onto the spike. So yeah, I think that is probably a problem. What I will say is, teams did manage to plant on B without a Sage. So that tells me that it's probably possible to play this map without a Sage now. I still think she'll be very good on this map, but I think it is possible. Viper I still think is essential. I still think that these other smokes that we saw in these clips, they just don't do anything. They help the other team often as much as they help you. As we saw with the smokes on A site and whatnot. I really do think the Viper is essential, that the wall is essential on this map. And maybe you can play 2 smokes, you know, maybe you could play Omen plus Viper or something like that. Particularly, like, I like that flash on B site. Maybe if you found some more examples of that, I could see that kind of working. But without Viper, it just doesn't work, to be honest. It just doesn't work. There just isn't enough there for them. And as I said, like, this cross in middle that we saw, that death as well, you know, it very almost happened multiple times to both teams, where they'd smoke middle, it would fade, and you know, they get caught crossing on the other side, and there was almost a few potential kills from that as well. That can't happen, you know, and it doesn't happen with a Viper, because a Viper can tell you, don't cross now because it's not up, you know, wait for me, wait a couple seconds and I'll put it up for you, and then cross, right? That's what happens with Viper. With these Omen and Astras, and probably Brimstone as well, it just doesn't, it doesn't work like that, and you can't keep track of it. And if it fades, you're kind of screwed.